What would Earth be like if it wasn't tilted? What seasons do you favor? Summer, winter, spring, or autumn? But what would seasons be like with no tilt? An Earth without the tilt would be a little boring. But what caused Earth to tilt? About 4.5 billion years ago, an object the size of Mars collided with the Earth. It knocked off a chunk from the Earth that would become the Moon today. This altered the tilt of the Earth by knocking it one direction or the other. And maybe this is how the Earth got its tilt as we see it today. At a degree of 23.4 with respect to our orbit around the Sun. And with that tilt was how the Earth got its different seasons. Summer, autumn, winter, spring, which we all enjoy. But, how are the four seasons formed? The tilt in the Earth's axis and the rotation around the Sun over the course of the year causes variations in the amount of sunlight striking the northern and southern hemisphere varies as they wobble back and forth. Because of this, the northern hemisphere experiences summer, whereas the southern hemisphere experiences winter at the same time, and vice versa in a year. This cycle drives Earth's seasonal variation. But without the tilt there would be no seasons, instead the weather would be pretty much the same year-round, affected by local storms. Regions that see snowy winters, and pleasant summer, would end up locked in a endless autumn. Winter and summer would be destinations rather than times a year. So as you move away from the equator, it would get colder and colder. You'd have to travel farther north or south of the equator, if you want to go snowboarding, while summer would exist only in the tropics, that is the equator. Nearly every day of the year would have 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of darkness. Without that tilt, all the energy from the sun would go into the equator, there would be less energy going into the polar regions. The tilt also added the ice age periods around the globe. The ocean and atmosphere would result in tremendous and unpredictable changes on the Earth's surface, including shifts in the ocean level and changes in the location and extent of arid as well as tropical area. Also, there would be no spring season around the globe. Without seasons, it would be very difficult to grow the crops for food. And with the continuous winter in the high latitudes, humans won't survive. So we would likely congregate in the planet's tropical midsection and the survival will become very difficult. Animals such as bears and bats etc. who hibernate during winters, would hibernate for long time, due to long winters, and could likely become extinct. The tilt is also one of the reasons why life exists on Earth. Other planets in our solar system also have tilt at various degrees, such as Uranus, which have axis tilt of 98 degrees, orbiting the Sun on its sides. The axis is nearly pointing at the Sun, and because of this the planet has a very extreme weather. Also, the axial tilt of Venus is 177.3 degrees, hence the planet has very little in a way of seasons. So the tilt of a planet also plays a very important role for the life to exist. Be curious, keep questioning. And thanks for watching. If you like the video, hit the like button, and see you in the next video.